Hello, everyone, and welcome to the Secondary Heroes podcast. It's Justice League Snyder Cut time. What you've all been waiting for. This is your host, Trevor, and joining me as usual is...
It's Brog.
Welcome back, DeLorean Wolfgang, because I'm here. Hey, I'm back, guys.
We missed you. We missed you.
Man, I missed you guys, because you guys recorded without me with Falcon Soldier. Falcon Soldier?
Yeah,
the Falcon guy.
It's the
guy
knockoff on HBO Max.
Yes, exactly. One guy looks like a bug. The other guy is... he's got a metal arm or something.
Something like that. Pretty close.
Yeah.
But let's talk about an entire human robot.
Yeah.
Since we got a lot more of him in this movie. Oh, wait, what are we talking about today? Did we even say?
We did.
No
it was
idea.
in the intro.
Sorry. I'm new here. Welcome. Hi.
Welcome, yes. Welcome to our new member of the Secondary Heroes.
New Secondary Hero.
He is the Alex Cut. He's added back in.
It feels good, guys. It's good to be back. Well, now that we just came up with nothing.
It's okay, because we're here to talk about the Snyder Cut, a movie that was not supposed to ever happen, but did. And we are all the better for it.
I will say, I actually enjoyed this movie. I know that a lot of people are going to poo-poo it left and right. But myself, like, from what I should preface this first.
Caveat.
That I only watched up to about chapter 4. Because 1, I've got a kid, and 2, it's really tough to watch a 4-hour movie on any day of the week.
Yeah.
So
it is hard. It's hard for any human being to watch.
But from what I did see, I enjoyed. And I did, before the show, I did skim through the rest of it, and I was like, oh, okay, that's cool. Okay, oh, all right, that looks pretty cool, okay.
So you watched it in regular motion is what you did. That's cool. Okay, very nice.
Oh, yeah, considering...
The thing was filmed in motion, yeah.
Yeah. Someone time revamped the entire movie.
The real question is, did you guys see the original Justice League? Like, I know This is the Snyder Cut, but Justice League came out in like 2018 or something.
I did.
Right.
So
came out. Happened.
Yes. So, and that's where I'm bringing my opinion because I saw that other movie. And everything that I saw in the 2 hours that I watched or whatever was already so much better than what I saw before. Because what I saw before was just a mess.
Okay, so what I saw... So I've seen both films, and the first film's not good. This one gave me 2 more hours of not good. That's my spoiler-free review.
And I didn't see the original, so my spoiler-free review is just going off of this movie alone. So it's not going to be a comparison of improvements. Even though I did kind of go online to see like what had been improved, I'm not going to go off of it because I didn't see the movie, so I don't know what the original movie was like. So for me, it was, I guess, better than I expected, but still pretty on par for what I would expect from a Snyder film. It was okay. It's not, in my opinion, it's not a good movie. But I can see how parts of it are enjoyable for people.
I am interested what made this a bad movie for you guys, though. I mean, obviously that's why we're here talking about it, but
we'll dive in.
In a quick summation, I'll sum it up.
Okay.
There's no stakes at all to anything that happens because DC characters are overpowered. There is no writing or anything. And then they tried to shoehorn every single plot point and character development into what happened in the first Avengers film.
Okay. Yeah, okay.
The writing is pretty atrocious. When you see Batman is trying to fill the Captain America role and everything he says just falls on deaf ears and it has no meaning or gravitas to what he says, it seems super awkward in comparison.
He's like, please join us.
We got this, guys. And they're like... They already walked away. They're like halfway down the plane thing, and they can't even hear what he's saying.
No.
I think for myself, I will say that, like, yes, it's not a perfect movie from what I saw. Yeah, but it was fun. If you're an everyday type of comic book person, I would think that this is going to be more fun than the original Justice League. To add to that though, Gal Gadot still can't act. She's a terrible actress. She looks great on screen, terrible actress. She looks great as Wonder Woman. She looks like Wonder Woman, but everything she says sounds so muted and just one note, very monotoned.
Yeah, she's very monotone.
And
that was the entire movie, though. So it's kind of like why the prequel sucks when George Lucas tells Hayden Christensen, "I need you to act like a piece of wood," and he nails that. People are like, "Oh, Hayden Christensen, you suck," but he literally nailed the direction he was given to him. So you gotta, I mean, maybe Gal Gadot, this is what she was told to be, and then she nailed it.
Well, then you know what? Then she's one of the greatest actresses ever to grace us.
Maybe
on this planet. The Amazonians, fantastic.
Yeah.
But yeah, I mean, go ahead, bro.
I will say, so to Snyder's credit though, like and I think this is why a lot of people do like his work, especially his work in DC, is that he gets the look of these characters. Like if you look at them on screen, yeah, they look great. He like gets their costumes down, he gets their poses down. I think he understands what they're supposed to look like in maybe like an action pose or whatever. But other than that, I don't think he quite understands who they are as characters, as people. And I don't think he quite understands story too well. I think he just likes to build up these great scenes in slow motion and have these like epic like looking moments that fans go, "Oh my god, this is amazing. It looks just like a page out of a comic book." But then there's nothing else under it to support it, to like go give it any kind of emotional weight. But there were moments that did surprise me. He did well with certain aspects of it. I think he did well with Cyborg, his story. I would
he
much
expanded a lot more on Cyborg.
Possibly. I haven't seen the original, but I think I was more invested in that character than everybody else. I'd rather just watch that character possibly than the rest, because I feel like he spent more time developing that character than the rest of them. So and there's just too many. There's too many people.
Would you feel like if they were to come out and say, "Okay, let's do a Cyborg movie, then let's do a Flash movie, and then have Justice League," do you think that would have been better fitted for this rather than them just trying to jump on the Marvel bandwagon?
Yes. Because you have 5 or 6 different origin stories that play out for like an hour throughout this whole thing until you get to the finale, and it's just them, doing a CGI battle, and they're all, superhumans, so it's kind of like, well, they're gonna win. Yeah, I don't know.
No, so the interesting thing, if you haven't watched the original Justice League, the biggest difference is that the Flash and Cyborg aren't covered pretty much at all. They're like, hey, they're joining Batman and Superman and Wonder Woman and Aquaman. Cool, because those characters all had movies, or Batman's had so many movies. Ben Affleck didn't get his own standalone Batman movie, but they all had their own kind of thing. And so you can see that Zack Snyder filmed a bunch about Cyborg and the Flash that just got cut out. But with that said, you don't need to make it into 4 hours. They didn't give you a standalone movie to work with. Justice League isn't the time for that. I'm sorry that they, handcuffed you to that. But my only problem with Cyborg is that his storyline is so bad. The teenage angst, I hate you, Dad, for saving my life kind of storyline played out over an hour or something, and then I'm not going to join the Justice League, and I'm going to follow the Aquaman suit that I don't have a place in this. Aquaman already did that storyline. Come on.
Yeah. All right. Well noted. I just like his character. I didn't really necessarily care for that backstory aspect of it, but I definitely would rather see him and what he can do, I guess.
Yes.
That's it. That's all I meant by that.
Well, yeah. And I hate that you didn't see the original Prague. I really do, because in the original, it was almost like, hey, here's all of the superheroes that you know, and then check it out. Here's some dude with metal all over his face. And he just so happens to keep showing up at all the right places at all the right times. Yeah. So it was like, it just didn't make sense. This actually felt like, okay, I see how he now can kind of go with the team in a way. And I felt like, and Barry, the Flash, he was, essentially, that was just watching Spider-Man's story. I mean, he just some regular kid walking around town. Oh, I got to get a job. I've got to get a job because I'm a kid. I'm a teenager. I'm going to go walk dogs.
He definitely felt like the Spider-Man, like the Tom Holland Spider-Man of this film.
Right.
Like they wrote him like that. Kind of thing.
He still was very jokey. He was, a goofball a bit. It's still keeping the, hey, I'm a teen. I'm cool, edgy, but I still got to save the day.
Well, here's my thing about the comparison is do we then judge this film not as itself, but solely as a redo of his original film that Joss Whedon had cut up and directed? Like, is it fair to not judge it on its own? Because on its own, it's bloated and boring with some, fun moments here and there. That's my takeaway. But if you're to compare it to Joss Whedon's cut, that's apparently pretty awful, and some of the scenes I watched were pretty awful, then yeah, I guess it is an improvement. Does that make it a good film, though? A better film?
Improvement is a delicate word, because there's a lot of things I'm watching and I'm like, this wasn't in the original Justice League, and this is just idiotic inclusion. Like, the villagers in Aquaman who sing for 5 minutes.
Nope, I'm out. Yep.
That wasn't in the original, okay?
I walked away when that happened. I have it in my notes. Like, this is like, what am I having a fever dream? Did I pass out?
When they sang, it felt like 12 minutes. I was like, no wonder this movie's going to be 4 hours. Yes. They just sang for 12 minutes.
So and they don't put any translation. It doesn't mean anything to the audience.
My notes say, why are the villagers singing? What is this? She sniffed his sweater? Like, what?
Oh, yeah.
What is going on in this film? It was so, and that's one of my biggest issues with this whole film as a whole, is it's so melodramatic. And that's just Zack Snyder. Like any Zack Snyder film, it's just like the angels come down and they sing and weep over everybody, and it's just, it's so overdone. And it's like 4 hours of this. People like this.
I would say if the music selection was a bit different, because I felt like it was very monk and folky. Like so in the original cut, when what's his name, Aquaman is walking back into the sea after saving a guy, after slamming the whiskey on the ground and after chugging it and slamming it on the ground, they're playing White Stripes, very like heavy White Stripes, where it's like, the lyrics are like, we drink booze, we're rockers, this, that, and another. And then in this one, it was almost like putting Colby Clay's newest CD on, and it's
so weird. It was like suddenly it's a music month. It was like a music video. I'm like, what is happening?
Now, I know at the beginning I said that I had fun watching this. I did. But there is a lot wrong with it. There is a lot wrong with it.
It's not even what's wrong with, like, all movies for 4 hours is going to have a problem, but I just felt so bored because there was no stakes at all. You have the basic idea that Superman's OP'd, but everyone is. The Flash is knocked halfway across the earth. He doesn't have, like, any injuries at all. Aquaman is slammed, like, through the Earth's core. Wonder Woman is completely devastated, and she doesn't even have, like, these superpowered people are too superpowered. You need to have some kind of structural broken damage, a little nick on your arm or something.
Anything.
That's what I think. I think they tried to make it seem like there were bigger stakes when they did the flash forward, in a way, where Cyborg is seeing the future.
Right. But you don't really see much. You see them dead. You don't know why. Like,
well, you see
what causes that.
You see Darkseid killing everybody. I mean, besides Wonder Woman, by the way, we should probably say we're getting into the spoilers at this point.
We're past that point.
Okay, so before that,
we are spoiling this movie.
Before we jump into this future flash forward scene, let's do our socials, guys. Go over to Facebook. Yeah, go over to Facebook, Instagram, Twitter. Actually, we're most active on Twitter, so go on to Twitter. Twitter, YouTube. And like, subscribe, follow, do all the things that lovers like to do. I don't know, just do it. And then go over to iTunes, rate and review our podcast, leave comments. We love reading them, and we love to actually interact. So if you leave a comment, we usually get back to people. So yeah, have fun with that. We like to have fun with you guys because at the end of the day, all this is free for you and it's priceless to us.
Well said.
Yeah.
Well said. All right.
Okay, so this flash forward, this is where we're getting into big spoiler territory. This flash forward, they show like Darkseid taking the trident from Aquaman and then ramming it right through his chest and shoving him into the wall. I mean, you're seeing Wonder Woman laying in a bed of fire with coins on her eyes, holding her sword. Like, these are our greatest warriors, and now Superman has decided to go bad. I mean, in a way, I think they were trying to build up stakes by doing that.
Maybe. I don't know. It happened near the end of the film, so it's kind of like
yeah,
so.
By the time the end of the film rolled
around, 3 hours later,
yeah,
I don't know. Anyways, did you want to lead us in any direction there, Trevor? Do you want to talk about scenes, style, tone?
This is tough because, again, we're jumping all over the place, but you can't go scene by scene for a 4-hour movie, so...
Probably not. I don't plan on being here until midnight, fellas.
Right. So I think it's more to focus on... Like, again, he's had all this time to kind of... This is his Snyder Cut, right? This is his vision. So it shouldn't have stupid problems, right? Like, somebody... Since he's editing this together, and this is his perfect creative vision, it had to be in 4:3 format to preserve Snyder's creative vision right at the start. That's what I really wanted to start off at the very beginning of the podcast. But seriously, once it says that, he shouldn't mess up continuity things at all. He has no excuse for continuity issues between any cuts in this film.
Was there a reason for the 4:3?
It's supposedly for an IMAX preference format.
Okay.
Yeah, if you've ever watched like a IMAX at home where it switches in between an IMAX shot and something else, it becomes square.
Mm-hmm.
And
the only reason why I'm curious why he would make that decision, he already knows that this movie is going to HBO Max and we're watching it at home. There's really no reason to do the 4:3. We all have 16
Unless
by 9
everyone has a
TVs.
projector at home, like that they can.
There was
with an IMAX dome, of course.
Yeah. Like, but there was no reason to make this. This kind of is trying to make up for something. So the biggest takeaway, as soon as it was done, I was like, this is a demo reel for executives to say what's possible in the DC universe on film. That's what this is. We're gonna throw every single thing, the kitchen sink included, at the wall and see what executives are going to like from this. And then we're going to create a movie from this.
Right. They're going to be like, okay, the fans really liked that on social media and they really liked that, but they didn't like that. Yeah, it's totally what this is.
I mean, it's brilliant.
Sure.
Warner Brothers is just, it's brilliant. Because now you can be like, okay, we had an idea for a Flash movie and we maybe wanted to do a little Martian Manhunter and hey, Deathstroke, he's a potential guy. Let's see how, we'll just throw everything at him. And now rather than having to go to the theaters, they can just watch it on HBO Max and we can get instant feedback. It's a pretty brilliant experiment.
It's brilliant.
But it's
That's what they did.
That they finally had these characters that weren't, again, not in the original, that now it causes that intrigue. Like Martian Manhunter, he shows up at Batman's door. I mean, he was already a character. He was a character in, what was it, Batman v Superman? He was just
he's the general guy.
Yeah, he's the general, but I guess he was in disguise as the general or whatever, and now he is in this movie as Martian Manhunter. And now I'm like, well, who's Martian Manhunter? This is the whole WandaVision thing where now I want to go and look up who this guy is.
Yeah, but the problem is that they're not doing anything else after this. It's done.
Yeah.
Like they're not doing Zack Snyder's universe. So it's like a tease. It's like, this is what you could have gotten, but nope, we're not doing any of that. They came out today and said, no, that was the end of Zack Snyder's trilogy. Is done. Everything else we have going on forward from here has nothing at all to do with that. So everything he set up is never going to happen ever.
Well, that doesn't make sense. Come on.
Exactly. So
okay,
why even
now
cut?
Now I'm totally now I'm bummed because I feel like when I watched it, I actually got excited for certain things.
Well, I love Martian Manhunter in the books. So that'd be great if we were to have that, but that's not going to happen.
Oh man. Well, shoot, man. Why are we even talking about it now?
Everyone's talking about it.
Everyone's talking about it, and
That's
there's
true.
this hardcore group of people who say this is a masterpiece. This
But
is a
everyone
stunning
loves this
creation of
movie.
film. And
Everyone
to
loves
be
it.
completely
Right.
honest, that is as far from the truth as possible. There is no oversight in bad filmmaking. This is bad filmmaking. This is bad shot. This went bad to the editing room. They added 5 billion lightning effects and different flares that you block any kind of character. Like, I can't even see Batman because there's like 20 lasers just flashing across the screen.
So that was my complaint. Is like, I love Batman and I never got to see him. It was like he would stand there in his chunky suit and then he would do something, but I couldn't see what was happening because there's so much happening on the screen. I was like, but I wanted to see what happened.
And there was so much lightning. So Wonder Woman, she has lightning, and then the Flash has lightning, and then Steppenwolf has lightning, and so there's like a blue lightning, there's more of a white lightning, and then there's like this orange lightning, all happening on screen. And I mean, it's classic Zack Snyder. It's like what he did with Sucker Punch. It's like what he did with Watchmen.
Yeah.
Just because you
Too much.
have the ability on your computer to add in After Effects doesn't mean you add in every After Effect. It was like somebody who's doing like a school project and they need to show proficiency in After Effects. And he's like, boom, boom, add this, add that, go more.
After Effects. You mean more effects? You got it. Everything. 'Cause, yes,
Okay,
there was-
I've got to ask you guys then.
Yeah.
Is there anything that you did like from the movie?
So
There were moments. I'll let Trevor go first. Is that the
my
Trevor?
favorite scene was the Flash's scene at the end where he rewinds time and they show the whole Cosmo Spectrum thing and everything kind of goes backwards. But then it went on for like 10 minutes of him going in slow motion. Like, I was like, okay, this is cool if it was like a 1 minute sequence and everything, but he just kept going, this is for you, Dad. And
Yeah, what was that line? He just kept saying the line. I'm like, is this a speech? Like, what's happening? Yeah, we know it's
So
for your dad.
It
Why
was
do you keep saying
good,
that?
and then they just it was so damn long, man. Jeez, they just ruined every single part that could have been good. They extended it out.
And what about you, Prague?
I'm trying to see if I can understand my notes. I liked the look of the cemetery scene because the cemetery looked cool. I thought the cemetery looked cool. There was like an angel statue. It looked like Hush from Batman. I thought it was really nice. Oh, and there was a nice battle scene with everyone. I don't know what that scene was, but why did Cyborg leave them? Oh, there was a scene where like Cyborg like left at one point when they're fighting. I wrote his name down as Thunder Crunch, but I guess his name isn't that. I can't remember his name. He had the horns, looked like a hammerhead.
Steppenwolf.
Steppenwolf.
The band.
So-
Yeah.
Like the
Thunder
band,
Crunch.
exactly.
Why did Thunder Crunch not think that the last Mother Box wasn't on Earth? I didn't understand this whole thing, but it wasn't about that. It's about the anti life. I wasn't paying attention. I was just confused by that guy. And yeah, I had no idea why Cyborg just left everybody to fend for themselves in one of the scenes. But I enjoyed that fight scene. I guess they had at one point. Early
I
on.
literally I pulled up Google to look up Thunder Crunch because I was like, I don't remember there being a character named Thunder Crunch.
I honestly was like, there's so much happening in this film without anything actually happening that I just kind of lost the ability to think during the film.
That's what it is.
Uh.
It's gratuitous action that does have any meaning. Like, it started right with the Amazonian sequence where he comes and gets the mother box from the Amazonian sequence, and
Like, why
there's all
that
this
room-
blood just for no reason. Like,
That's what they
there's
added
so much gore
blood.
and blood, and I'm like, what? It doesn't matter. And then, like, the queen of the Amazonians is like supposed to care about this one particular Amazonian that got killed, but she just sent like hundreds to their death in the ocean.
Yeah. Oh my
Why
God,
did she
that
care
was
about the
weird.
one trampled by the horse?
Who knows? Maybe that was her special girl. I don't know.
It was
Her
just so
special
selective
girl
in
is-
caring about stuff.
Yeah, that's true. Yeah. So,
Um,
but that was kind of cool though. I mean, those Amazonian firing the arrows and just I don't know, practically like a machine gun with arrows. It was wild looking. Like I feel like I could watch more of the Amazonian women than I could watch of Hawkeye ever.
Okay, sure. I'll give you that, I guess.
You would, hey, to
Sure.
each his own, I suppose.
No, it's fine, man. I don't really care about Hawkeye, so sure.
Well, I
don't
know
really
that's
care
why
about
that's why I'm saying what I'm saying, man. But I
like
will
it.
say, I know that we touched on Steppenwolf. I actually liked the newer design of Steppenwolf.
Nice. I don't know what the
it was
original
fine.
design looked like.
The updated
Yeah.
design made him look more menacing rather than, I don't know, he just looked like a goober with a helmet on in the first movie.
I thought he was a Transformer, so I was really
Now he
confused.
looked like he definitely had a Decepticon vibe.
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't know. I guess I just liked it a little bit more.
It was cool. I guess if I were like a kid, I would have liked it, but it's
Yeah, it kind of fits. He's like a video game character. There was a lot of video game. Like, if this was a cutscene of like some new Justice League video game, I think it would have gone over better for me because I don't have as high of a standard. But once you say it's like a film that's going to be 4 hours, I feel like it shouldn't be a video game cutscene. And I think the dark side parts of the entire thing, he looked like he could have stepped out of a video game. Like I could have went and fought him later in some later boss battle.
Yeah, that was some bad CGI.
Yeah, I wasn't a huge fan of Darkseid.
Like that's not menacing at all. I'm like, who is this computer guy? Like
he looked like a video game, like a terrible rendering of Thanos, and they made in like some Marvel Contest of Champions on your phone. That's how he looks.
Hate to say it.
I feel like the worst part about it was you could see these parallels between Marvel movies and this movie. Like, here's this alien race coming to Earth because they have to collect 3 boxes rather than an alien race coming to Earth to collect stones.
So a little bit about that is that's just something that's common in comics throughout for decades. Like they'll steal from each other all the time. So I'm used to that. But I get your point.
It's fine, but it looks bad in the timing of the film release.
Sure, dude, choose a different film.
But it looks bad. Yeah.
You know? Like, they already did Thanos. Yeah. Don't do your version of Thanos.
Right away.
Yeah, right away. Save it for later. Use Lex Luthor. He's your bad guy. Use him to do something. I don't know. But they didn't.
Well, and then not even just the Marvel look, too. They kept jumping into this whole Star Wars thing as well, where Steppenwolf will talk to his master, and his master would be a giant hologram thing talking back down to him. And he's like, but please let me be the... No, it was Star Wars.
Yeah. No, 50,000 more planets.
Yeah, 50. But I've gotten 10 so far.
I
will say, okay, the animation of Steppenwolf whenever he's looking up at him and saying, after I rule this planet, can I come home? And you could see almost like the tears in his eyes as he goes, dude, you still have 50,000 more planets. But you could see just how defeated he looked. And I was like, oh, wow, that actually created a little emotion out of me. That was kind of fun.
That was fun.
Yeah.
With the Marvel comparison, though, it brings up the mocap idea. Like, Josh Brolin as Thanos looks way more authentic than a single thing in the entire of Justice League. I think he looked more authentic than Batman standing there. Like, Ben Affleck was literally standing there in a suit, and he still looked less authentic.
Yeah. That suit was like 20 inches thick. I'm like, good Lord. Decent enough design. It was just too much. It was like a little kid walking around in a suit. Yes. You know? Look at me. I was like, all right. I'm sorry, Ben. Sorry you had to go through that. I don't know what to say to you. But I did have a question.
Comparisons, though. Go ahead.
Well, just because I'm going to forget about it, and it was something that really bothered me because it made absolutely no sense. And I don't know if it was in the original cut or not, but there's a scene in the very beginning where the janitor, and I think his name is Silas, Cyborg's dad, who's the scientist, he says something to him like, oh, say hi to your family for me. And the janitor just gives him this dirty look. And I'm like,
yeah, what's that all about?
I thought, I'm like, oh, is he a bad guy in disguise? Is he undercover? Is the janitor like secretly like part of the alien race undercover there? But no, he was just a janitor. I'm like,
he was a scroll.
Why did they have that scene? Right? I was like, what does that? Okay, I'm glad I'm not the only one that.
Well, speaking of the janitor, why is he mopping steel grates?
Who knows?
Those are
Who knows
designed for mopping not needed. Like, you just squirt those down and you're good.
Yeah, hose.
Well, and he had full access to this entire laboratory to where
Which
he
is
just
why I
walks
thought that
in
he was.
and
I was like,
all of a
it's the
sudden there's a
opposite.
freaking Tesseract box that gets
Right.
sucked away.
Box.
Wait, you're a janitor, dude. How are you supposed? Why do you have access to the Tesseract box? One of the boxes. I don't know. I call it
Well,
every
it's
time I
funny
saw
because
those boxes, I thought of the Tesseract.
the Tesseract box, I mean, the Cyborg, I didn't know that his storyline was that he was Vision, and they just used the mother box to create him. Like, I don't know if that's the case in the comics. I only know Cyborg from the Teen Titans, but that was weird to just replicate him as Vision.
It was weird. Like dead on. I don't know.
Yeah, he even had the little blue orb instead of the yellow Mind Stone right on his forehead.
It might have been. I don't know which story came first, but someone copied somebody back in the day. I'm pretty sure it was Marvel that came first with that story.
Actually, fans, let us know. What did you guys think?
Oh, well, they loved it. Everyone loves Zack Snyder.
I know, it's so crazy. I don't know what happened. What changed? Fans, answer us that. After the release of Sucker Punch and coming off the heels of Watchmen, and then anticipation of how terrible Man of Steel and Batman vs. Superman were, how did it come into good grace once he didn't release Justice League? What happened in terms of the opinion of Zack Snyder? What changed?
Something must have. I don't know what it was. Anyways, it's just not my characters. It's not the characters I read in comics growing up as a kid. My Batman didn't throw around the F-bomb like it was candy. So
speaking of not my characters, what's with Wonder Woman killing a guy? Like in that bank robbing scene, she killed two people. She kicked one guy and his head
out of
the back of the wall. He's dead. And then the other guy she blows up with her little arm things.
Yeah, I called this the dubstep robbery scene because it was like done to dubstep.
Yeah,
couldn't believe that, but I mean, that was probably the best point of her music coming in was that whole scene, and she made it look. Granted, not a good actress, but great at action. She did that action, and it looked so good. Like I really liked her speeding around, blocking bullet, and they didn't do slow mo. Well, I'm sorry, they didn't do too much slow motion. They still did a ton of slow motion with her and catching bullets left and right. But when they didn't do slow motion and she sped across, just punching the air and punching all the, I thought that looked great.
I thought that whole sequence looked super goofy, and it looked kind of like Wonder Woman 1984 when she's saving the kids on the lasso. That's what I thought it looked like.
It looked so much better than 1984. Oh
really?
My God, it looked better.
Her body looked completely CGI once she was in motion.
That looked better than 1984.
But anyway, in 1984, she has this whole thing, this whole like creed not to kill people. So it's really weird that she's just killing people and it's no big deal at all. This goes into Prog's point of Zack Snyder not caring about the people.
No, he doesn't care at all. It doesn't make any sense. Why would she kick that guy? First of all, that guy looked like a rag doll in CGI that got thrown across the room. So you could tell that was done after. More recently, it wasn't even in his original cut, most likely. And then splatter his head across the wall in front of all these children. Like, look how cool I am. It's like this scene reminded me of a scene from The Boys. It was like, look at us.
Yes.
We're going to splatter brains left and right.
It totally looked like The Boys. It could have been Queen Maeve or whatever.
Like these people. Like, he ruined the character of Wonder Woman for me in this. It's awful.
Wow.
Absolutely awful.
What ruined it for me is the monk call every time she shows up.
Oh,
like,
God,
literally.
no.
It must
That
have
was
played
awful.
an hour total of these 4 hours is that song at some point.
That was probably my biggest.
And her mom, too.
Yes.
Every time her mom shows up on screen, or a horse.
Which, man, they don't care about horses at all in this movie.
Horses in
Yeah.
Dude, that was wild. Which I don't mind that it was a little bit more gorier because that's the thing is like we're so desensitized now to like death on screen. So the fact that they're making death become bigger in a way.
Well, no, it was goofy though. The blood splattered the camera at one point.
It was very goofy because it wasn't even look like blood. It looked like some, I don't know what it looked like fuzzy poorly rendered something.
It was thick. Yeah, it was like a video game that's like rendering in. It's like pixelated was coming out.
So have you guys? Do you guys ever watch? Go on YouTube and look at Corridor Digital. Do you ever watch any of their videos?
Never heard of them.
Oh, okay, so there's and I want our fans to check them out because they are really, really good. What they are graphic artists that they'll take scenes from movies. For instance, they took the prequels and they take a action scene and they make it better. So they took like Star Wars prequels and they actually had Anakin murder children and stuff like throw them out windows or whatever. Like they don't show too much, but like they make it what you think's happening off screen type of thing. And it's pretty interesting how they do it because they go into the After Effects and what they're doing and how they're doing it. So it's not just like, oh, hey, we took this scene and we turned it gross. They have a class about it, which is cool.
Right. Well, to my point though, like my point isn't that I don't want to see the gore in the DC film. I just don't want to see our main heroes that we've known that have this like anti-kill policy to have the gore. Because like I read lots of like these Bat books, even more recently that are extremely gory, but it's usually not like Batman or Wonder Woman doing that stuff. It's the villains doing that stuff. Like that's fine. Like you have your villains do like the Joker, exactly. Let them do that. But
and here's the interesting thing. They're killing these beeline criminals who are, we're going to rob a bank. Well, you're dead now. But the Joker is still alive.
Right. Why don't rehab those people? Why don't you rope those people up and say, you know what? Let's rethink your life. Let's send you to the loony bin. Joker, you need to die. Just FYI. You don't need the loony bin. You're beyond saving.
Which
so, anyway, that's just my thing. It rubs me the wrong way. It rubbed me the wrong way when I saw Man of Steel, and it continues to do so.
Gotcha. Well, yeah, and Wonder Woman snaps the guy's neck or something in that, doesn't she?
No, Superman snaps the guy's
Superman does. Okay. Yeah. Well, I know that I just mentioned Joker, and you've got Joker behind you. Joker makes an appearance in this movie.
We're just jumping to the end credits. Okay,
I guess we are.
No, screw it. We're just jumping around this whole movie. I didn't think that we had a timeline here. I just figured we're just talking about it at this point.
Sure, why not?
We don't. I mean, hey, you know what? We'll get to Joker when we get to Joker. How about that?
Okay, so I do want to say those flying creatures that are just like the flying creatures from Avengers 1 and having that whole end sequence where they're inside the dome or they knock down the dome and they're killing them all or whatever. And they team up and do it, or one. It's like, look, here's Aquaman killing him, and he uses Aquaman abilities. Oh, look, here's Wonder Woman killing him. It was just like watching Hulk take out him, and then Thor takes him out, and then Iron Man takes him out, and then now Thor and Cap are working together. I'm like, did we really? Is there some version of this that we needed rather than, like, I don't understand doing nameless minions that are super easy to kill, other than if it's a video game. Like, there's no reward on film to see this.
I fully agree with that. I can't stand that. Like, Suicide Squad had one of the worst because they didn't even have a backstory in the comics. They made it up for Suicide Squad, what these little minion things are, and it was awful. I hated that. And I feel the same way with this, too. I don't care for these easy kills.
I agree.
But you get to see it in slow motion.
Oh, my God.
Cool. So,
like, all he had to do was put this movie in regular speed. It would have been an hour and a half long.
Yeah.
God, it's like so much slow motion. Like
everything is slow motion.
Like, I understand that like certain scenes look good in slow motion and some things can be handled well in slow motion, but when you do it all the time, it loses value. It's just like lens flare with J.J. Abrams. Like, when you do it all the time, it's not as dramatic. It doesn't matter anymore. It's like, time that stuff. Use it for the big moments or something.
Speaking of Cyborg's backstory and slow motion, he played football in slow motion. Did we need him playing football? That was the worst football movie I've ever seen, somehow packed within Justice League. Because, okay, fans, if you were watch this and you're a football fan, if you jump to the goal line and you put the ball out and you fumble it on the pylon, that's a touchback. That's not a touchdown. You just lost possession. The other team has on the 20-yard line. You lost. So I don't know why you would break the damn rules of football when you're showing this, like you have super slow motion so you can see. I didn't even need instant replay.
You can actually see. Right. It's right there for you. Yeah, that whole
Don't
scene
make
was
bad
bad.
football movies.
Was that in the original cut, or is that redone afterwards?
No,
Yeah.
you get zero
felt
backstory
rushed.
on him.
Yeah.
I mean, it's for slow motion, but it felt like a rush scene. Like they got people together in a small room and tried to make it look like a big stadium, and it just had a bad, weird feel to it.
That just rose something in my mind. Batman's talking to Aquaman for the first time, and Aquaman's walking. And this is before the women start singing to him.
Yeah.
So I was listening through my headphones because I had to watch it on my phone for a little bit, and that scene popped up. And as he's backing into the water, he's like yelling back at Batman, but it literally sounds like he's in, for instance, my garage. It sounds like it's tinny. It sounds like it's echoey, but he's in the middle of this water in this big open space where everything else sounds great. He's every line that he says, but he says like 3 lines where it's like almost like they had to re-record it, and he was sitting in a
what they had to do. Yeah.
But I just hated that it sounded so bad. I didn't like it.
Well, this movie definitely liked to sound bad because this was probably the worst sound. Like you guys mentioned it, but this might have been the worst soundtrack and song choices for every moment that you could possibly if you literally put shuffle of every song ever created, it would come out better than what they specifically picked to play.
I actually wrote down lyrics to one of the songs. It was so bad. It was my least favorite scene in the whole movie, and it's the scene where we see the criminally underrated Lois Lane in this, who they didn't know obviously what to do with the character.
Oh God,
and poor Amy Adams had to be in this movie. Like, oh my God. So that she's walking slowly in the rain to some guy who I think is dying as he's singing the song. And it literally says, "They told us gods would outlive us, but they lied." But he carried the line. Like, what? Like, I'm like, is this a parody? Like, I had to stop. I'm like, this is a joke, right? This is a parody. This isn't a real thing that's happening in this film right now. Oh, and the overhead rain shot and slow motion for this. Like, why do we need a slow motion scene?
I thought the worst one was Aquaman, where he walks out and the waves crash on that
thing,
and they play that terrible music. Yeah.
Yeah, that's the folk song that he's walking out to. Yeah, the folky song.
So bad, so bad, so bad.
But yeah, there's just so many instances. It was like, what's going on? But that fits the whole movie because one part also that wasn't in the original Justice League cut was the story of the first battle where Darkseid came to Earth the first time, and so that wasn't included at all. And I don't know why they decided to have like a clip of God of War thrown in the middle of this movie, but I don't know what Zeus was doing. I don't know why his arms are like orange the whole time. And like the weirdest part of that whole aspect is you have Zeus. I'm not using any humans or any stupid thing. I literally have the God of gods. I don't care who Darkseid is. It's not some new gods, old gods thing. Him and Ares got rid of Darkseid. They literally could have killed him. I don't know what anybody else was even doing.
They almost did, really. I mean,
did anybody else notice that Ares looked just like Billy the Butcher from The Boys?
Yeah,
I was like, oh, dang, they brought in Billy the Butcher.
Yeah, okay.
Because he is Lupin from the first Wonder Woman movie.
Oh yeah. Yeah, okay. I don't know.
I didn't know that they had...
Oh, yeah, they look like they de-aged him a little bit, but it was just so weird that they only needed those two. And then there's 3 mother boxes, and they give one to the Amazonians, the one to the Atlanteans, and then men get to keep one. Why didn't Zeus take all 3 boxes? Like, yeah, I'll just take all 3 boxes. Great. But anyway, with that, the Amazonians make a whole dome, and it's all protected, and it's like within stone and stuff. And then the Atlanteans like put it in the Kraken or something. And then the humans are like, let's bury it in the woods.
Let's dig a 3-foot hole.
It's not even yet.
Let's take a 3-foot hole and then shovel some dirt over it.
Done.
That's man.
Throw some leaves, maybe.
No one will know.
They'll never know. Then no one will know.
They'll never find it.
They'll never know.
Cyborg reburies it. It's like, oh my God.
Cyborg did bury it again in his grave.
See that light? That's cool. It was so dumb.
Well, nice in this movie that they did hint at least they started hinting at some other characters like Green Lantern and stuff like that. Like that stuff was totally left out of the original. So it was nice that they
to see Green Lantern. That was cool.
Yeah, it was
That
nice to see
lantern
that they
was
included
killed
that.
too.
Say what?
That lantern was killed in that flashback scene.
Oh, and then the ring pops off and it looks at
Yeah.
Darkseid and it's the snitch.
Yeah.
And it's
It,
and
it's
then
funny,
Harry
though,
Potter
'cause-
catches it.
well, that's a Warner Brothers tie-in. It works.
It does.
You know, that kind of felt like a Ready Player One sequence. That whole idea with Zeus. It could have been the fight scene from Ready Player One. They could have thrown in some Ninja Turtles and Transformers. You'd be like, yeah, I'm game.
I
Let's
get
go.
it. Sure,
Lord.
sure. At that point, I've given up on the films. Like, yeah, whatever. Yeah, shoot, sure.
But
Golden
Steppenwolf
Girls.
does say that right now on the planet there's no Kryptonians and there's no lanterns. So it hints that they want to do something with Green Lantern really badly.
Yeah.
Some,
Well, I think that's a
or
fan
Snyder
thing.
does. I don't know. Yeah.
Yeah.
Snyder definitely does.
I really do feel like the fans are clamoring, like they want to get the bad taste out of their mouth from the Ryan Reynolds Green Lantern.
Green Lantern's tough though, because it's so
Goofy.
it really. I mean, the concept's goofy.
It's like it's goofy, but it has like a cool look on the page, and that's about it.
Like
Yeah.
the
Looks
hard
cool.
part is how do you? I mean, Ryan Reynolds can make anything cool, and he couldn't even make Green Lantern cool. Like,
Yeah.
you know what I mean? Like, how do you turn this into a fun movie? You put it in Justice League in like a
I
cutscene.
guess. Yeah, that's it. That's it.
Yeah.
Cool. What do you want to
Yeah,
talk
so-
about? Something else?
Well, for part 3, it's the whole backstory part, and I just wanted to talk about Flash's backstory because was it super awkward to you when he puts his finger out and touches
Yes,
through the glass
yes!
and then grabs the hot
Everything
dog?
was
And
awkward. The whole thing.
that whole sequence was super awkward, right? It was like
Okay, the
creepy. It was kind of pervy, right?
Dude, that's why I watched that and I go, this is Spider-Man. He's totally just being Spider-Man, doing
Was
goofy
the
things. Like,
awkwardness of it.
why would he grab the hot dog? He's like doing this goofy stuff that Spider-Man would have done.
But poorly, with poor
Yeah.
CGI.
Well,
and
Because he's not Spider-Man
I know.
And Spider-Man doesn't move in slow motion, thankfully.
all the time. Unless
Flash,
he's
he can't
sweet
move.
freeze frame in the air.
You know, it felt. You know what? It felt like one of those Super Bowl commercials. Like it felt like some kid was getting Doritos. Oh, it's a Super Bowl commercial. Let me touch
That's a
this
good
kid's hair.
comparison.
Let me grab this hot dog or this bag of Doritos.
Doritos. And then
Like,
at the
even
end of
the-
it, he's with the dogs going, oh, I
Yeah.
always eat Doritos.
Yeah.
Like, why didn't they just copy the Quicksilver moments from X-Men First Class or whatever?
Exactly. Nope. Gotta do
You
this
have
goofy
Flash, just it's already been done. Do it. You
But
copied
my-
everything else. They turned Cyborg into Iron Man. I don't even know what's that about.
I don't know. But my big thing is I can't stand Ezra Miller. I just think he is the worst actor on the planet, and he should just stop acting altogether.
They
That'd be
tried
great.
to use him for comic relief, and it's not funny. Not one
Nope.
time.
Ever in history. Like, he's so bad that I stopped watching the Stand miniseries when he showed up on screen. Such a bad actor. Oh, it's
Well,
unreal.
so
Unreal.
this is where I mean, and I'm sure that I'm not the only one, and a lot of people do have a problem with this, is the fact that they have a Flash in the TV series that's really, really good. Like,
Mhm.
everybody really, at least I like, I know that I like the Flash in the TV series, and I know that there's a lot of other people that do too. What's up DC's rear end that they don't want to intertwine their TV and movie stars?
Who knows?
It just
Same
seems
thing with
like it's such a
Marvel did the
an
same
old
thing.
school way of looking at it. Like, oh, TV is these little stars. You can't have big stars on TV, or you can't have little stars in movies. Like, it seems like it's an old man executive move.
Well, the problem is though that the CW exists because the CW, it's not the big tentpole thing. It never has been. It's always been their cheaper fare. They specifically do that. These are our cheap kind of experimental titles, so we're going to put them on CW. So I don't think they ever believed in it enough to be on screen because it's not like Marvel. Like, we have Wanda, we're going to throw her onto Disney Plus. you know, and it's the TV thing. It's not like Nicole Kidman's in like Big Little Lies or something. It's like, you know, TV, like you said, TV and movies aren't any different now. TV might even be gaining momentum, but
Right.
CW is not on the same par as throwing it even onto ABC or NBC, Fox, CBS. You know, CW is that lesser channel. It always has been. It's not available in as many markets, and that's, I think, the problem. But Ezra Miller, to Prog's point, is terrible.
So I totally agree with everything you just said. I feel like when you talk to the comic book communities, when you go to a Comic-Con and you talk about these type of things, like, yeah, the CW, yeah, it might be a little bit cheaper. The graphics aren't as good. It's not in as many markets, but people find a way to watch it because they really enjoy those shows. That's why DC is ruling the TV market. Well, maybe not so much anymore now that Disney Plus is kind of throwing a lot of this Marvel stuff out there. But I mean, before Disney Plus, DC totally was ruling the market when it came to TV, and it still just doesn't click for me why they wouldn't want to expand on it.
Here is why. So it's not so much that the fans don't like it. Obviously, the fans like it. It's a big thing. It's on CW. I think what Warner Brothers wanted to do was to create this Snyder universe, and the Snyder universe looks and feels nothing like the CW shows. They had already built up their own mythology in the series for like a decade, and Zack Snyder came along and did this whole other tonal thing and built it from a different direction. So it would be almost impossible for Warner Brothers to include those characters into this new universe they were creating. It would be ridiculous. It would be silly.
As we just talked about, with having you just mentioned that Zack Snyder, like, they're done with Zack Snyderverse
now. Yes.
So I mean, essentially we could bring in those characters into the movie universe. You know what I mean? Because Ezra is it Ezra Miller?
Yeah, but he's already starring in the new Flash. So
is he really? I thought he was canceled. Sorry, quote unquote canceled.
Not yet.
I don't know. Yeah, he's still around.
I thought after he pushed over the fan, who was a female,
still in the movie,
and he's still people still all right.
Yeah.
Wow. Amazing.
But no, the Warner Brothers they have a lot of stuff in the works. It's too late. It's way too late at this point.
Yeah.
And those guys are old now. Like, no offense, but like they've been around for a long time. They want newer, fresher faces. They're not going to have like these older people in their universe.
Yeah.
Sorry, there's not going to. It's not going to happen.
You don't have to apologize to me.
Well, no,
it's okay,
they should just reboot the TV shows. Honestly, all these origin stories aren't meant for film, to be honest. They're meant for TV. Imagine if Cyborg was just a TV show over 6 or 8 episodes and we just dive into his whole thing rather than cutting it from the original Justice League or making Justice League 4 hours to include his intro. Just make a TV show.
Right.
Well, yes. So I feel like when a lot of these, and this is where it jumps right back to old men being in charge. Mm-hmm. When they make a TV show, their mind is set on, I want multiple seasons, I want multiple XYZs, we need to make a buttload of money off this. But now I think with Disney Plus, I would hope that they're seeing it as in, okay, WandaVision was a success. It was only so many episodes, and there's not going to be any more. Winter Soldier and Falcon, that is only 6 episodes, and it's a possibility that this is going to be a success as well.
Mm-hmm.
I think that's what it needed. It needed Disney to do what they're doing with these characters, Disney and Marvel, to do what they're doing with these characters for now. Now we're going to probably see that type of stuff with maybe not Cyborg, but we'll probably see some later on characters. Who knows? Maybe we even get a Green Lantern TV show to get his origin story for 6 episodes. And then boom, we have a new, we bring him in. That's if these old farts can get out of their own way.
Warner Brothers has a tough time. I mean, they made the stupid decision.
Yeah, they made their bet.
Making stupid decisions. And like right now, they don't know what they're doing with HBO Max and movie theaters reopening, And now they're like, we're still sticking with HBO Max, but then HBO Max doesn't have original programming that is continuously being released. It's like, we have 6 shows to launch, and we've released the Snyder Cut since then, and we have some movies coming.
That's about it. Yeah.
Yeah.
I just don't see it happening.
I mean, do you think that they're possibly thinking that people are going to be intrigued by the Snyder Cut to go off and watch like the Harley Quinn cartoon, because that's supposed to be pretty raunchy? And
the problem with the Snyder Cut is there's some people who are going to love it because they wanted to love it. There's some people who are going to hate it because they wanted to hate it. And then there's a lot of people who are going to watch it. They're like, I watched it. That was fine. And then they'll never think about it again. And I think that's where the majority of people are going to sit.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think so.
Well, with the knowledge of nothing else coming out of the Snyderverse, then yeah, right. And now that I know that, because I didn't know that before we started talking. Now that I know that, now I watch the movie and I go, okay, yeah, this was fine. This was fine in pieces, not in one full 4-hour stretch.
Yeah.
Yeah, there were times where I forgot I was watching a film. I was like zoned out. Oh my god, that's right. Okay, hold on.
Well, you get exhausted.
What's the film happening here?
This is the type of thing. If I wasn't taking notes, I would have turned off after the Amazon sequence. If I wasn't taking notes.
Oh.
Nothing happens until like the third act, like at all. It's all right.
And it's such poor dialogue to get there. I mean, once they start bringing back Superman, you really see how they can't write at all. They just don't know what to do with Superman and Lois Lane, and how anything that they're just like, he's on. Look at Superman. He's in a cornfield. You like that, right? That's what he does in Smallville, right?
And they keep dropping this thing about Lois Lane being the key. The key to what? And you don't find that out until like the last epilogue of all the epilogues. It's like, what is this? Like, nothing makes sense. There's no story here. Yeah. Well, I don't get it.
Since there was no story.
We got to see an ad there was 2 ads for Mercedes, and then there was a Gillette.
Oh my God, yes, there was.
And what was the other ad you were saying?
The Gillette one. It zooms right in when Batman's shaving. The water's running over it, just like you would see on like Gillette's ad.
Do you want to be a man like Batman?
Like Batman.
Get yourself a Gillette. Tough as nails, like a bat. Yeah. Well, can we talk about Joker?
Sure. The only other part I did want to mention that the Nazis found the mother box, just like the Nazis found the Tesseract. It's awesome what the Nazis can uncover.
Everything, apparently.
The Nazis, dude, we all know the Nazis have a base on the dark side of the moon, so...
Of course.
Yeah, of course. We all know this, so... I mean, their technology is way above anything we know.
So original, these guys.
Speaking of technology way beyond us, also the mother boxes. Did you like they spent 15 minutes telling us how the mother boxes work? You know, Cyborg was there and he was talking about how they create matter themselves and they rearrange matter and they're using all these science terms. And then Flash says, you know what this means, guys, right? And I'm like, you just described the Infinity Stones? And no, it's that they could bring Superman back.
Jeez. Yeah. Oops. But they can bring Superman back.
Superman's back. Yay, that's what we need.
And he's evil.
What's the point of any of the other ones if they just needed Superman back? Like, can we just get rid of Aquaman, Flash, Cyborg, Wonder Woman, and Batman and just say, you guys were tired, we have Superman back?
Pretty much. And here's my other thing with Zack Snyder's and his Warner Brothers as well, is that, like, you didn't set up Superman enough to kill. Like, they killed him so early on in
God, so fast
franchise, right? That it's like, I just don't care. It's like, even in the same movie, like, as Batman v Superman, where he dies, like, everyone hated him at the beginning, and then suddenly he died, and they all liked him for some reason, and they mourned his death, and like, nothing makes sense. His writing is atrocious. Like, it blows my mind. And then he comes back, and instead of being the symbol of hope that he still has yet to be, he is evil. Okay, I don't know.
You always come back evil because the mother box, it could make them zombies or something.
I don't know.
Zombie Superman. Okay.
Such a bad story.
Wait, isn't that Bizarro Superman or whatever?
It should. The Bizarro Superman is just like
Ah.
a different world multiverse one. Is kind of dumb.
I would have loved to have that in this because it's so goofy.
Well, that's what I was thinking. I was like, oh, they could totally go on a Bizarro Superman
Why
type
not?
of trip here.
Throw everything in there.
Well, and then, so now jumping into Joker and how he tells the story of different timelines and different universes and stuff like that. I mean, that was thrown around a lot, as how many different like universes and how these creatures are coming from a different universe to our universe to come to Earth for some reason.
Everything's on Earth.
Everything's on Earth. For some reason,
it's crazy how much stuff is on Earth.
It doesn't make sense. But anyways,
there was like 3 Infinity Stones in New York at the same time out of 6 over the entire universe. All 3 mother boxes are on Earth. It's crazy.
Under 3 feet of dirt and a couple leaves and sticks on top. You remember?
Yep.
Well hidden.
The anti-life equation's on Earth too.
Yep.
Everything too. Oh yeah,
it's on Earth because so Thanos' idea is, I'm gonna make everything even. I'm gonna balance the universe. We're gonna get rid of half of all life. Darkseid, he wants to literally rule multiverses just because I want to show all existence will be mine. Like, he literally has nothing beyond like classic bad guy thing. I want absolute power and I just want to rule. He has no, like any different dimensions to him. And it all comes from this anti-life equation that just happens to be on Earth too.
He's just as bad in the comics. I can't stand him. Like the least interesting villain of all time. Yeah.
Well, he's a terrible villain because he has to deal with Superman. See, that's the problem with DC. Once you create Superman, you have to create a bad guy that's bigger and better than Superman. Otherwise, it doesn't work. Superman does what Steppenwolf, where he just beats him.
Yeah. Thunder Crunch. Thunder Crunch.
Thunder Crunch is just a 4 version of Captain Crunch.
That's right. There he is. Indeed. All right. What else did you want to say about Joker? That was it.
Yeah,
just
Joker.
Well, Joker's
I just mentioned the multiverse thing because Darkseid wants to rule. They're emphasizing multiverse. Like, Snyder's a multiverse we're never going to see again.
Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. There we go. Well, I don't know how you guys felt about Jared Leto as Joker. When we first saw him, I believe it was in Suicide Squad where he was first came out. I've got to tell you, I will take flack for this left and right. I don't care. I actually liked him as Joker in this movie.
Oh, in this movie, not in like
this movie. In Suicide
he was okay
Squad,
in this
garbage.
One.
I
will admit.
I liked what he did in this, and I don't know, he was intriguing, and I wanted to see more. I was like, okay, this is dark. It's cool. He's not being, I'm in a Lamborghini that's bright orange or whatever, racing
tattoos
down. Tattoos on the forehead.
They got rid of the tattoos in the future.
Thank God.
Which
Thank
looked
God.
awesome.
Like, surgically remove them somehow.
Besides the fact that like they're in an apocalyptic future and he still has time to put on his makeup.
Where does he get the makeup?
That's but that's a Joker thing, whatever. But I liked him. I liked his lines. I like how he was trying to push Batman, even though Batman wasn't gonna go. He's like, I'm still gonna F and kill you. Batman throwing around the F-bomb. I don't know. It just was cool, and he made it true.
There was only a little of it. I feel like
it wasn't the whole movie.
It's the crux of Joker and Batman's relationship that Joker believes that he's Batman's best friend. When you tie into that, it's always going to be interesting philosophical discussion, and they only made it like 10 minutes. So that works. If this goes on for longer, I don't know if it works. And then Batman's side of the conversation sucked.
No, yeah, absolutely. Oh, well, when I talked to Harley Quinn when she was dying in my arms, it was silly. But at the same time, even after Batman mentions Harley Quinn, you can actually see Joker kind of emotionally breaking down in his psychotic way. I actually thought Jared Leto did a really solid job at doing that. I thought I just really enjoyed it. I did. Now, one little thing that I did before the podcast, I tried to do as much research as I could beforehand. There's the scene with Joker where he's saying, take this card is our truce.
This card. Yes.
Yes, this card. When our truce is over when you tear this card up. Earlier in their movie, when Cyborg sees the future, and you see the dead Green Lantern, and you see Superman flying over the city, and it's all burned and everybody's dead and stuff like that. Half the card comes flying by the camera. I thought that's a pretty cool touch. That if you're not really watching, you're gonna miss it.
It's just too bad we're not going to get that. It's like not like
exactly.
it's like Zack Snyder was like, I know this is probably never going to happen, but I want to show you what you're not going to get.
Yeah.
To rub it in everyone's faces at Warner Brothers or something. I don't know. That's what it felt like to me.
He did feel like he had an axe to grind.
Oh yeah.
But luckily it was so terrible. I don't really care. I don't need him to flesh out. Oh, here, let's have more Joker viewed by Zack Snyder. So he talks for 10 minutes with Batman, and then the rest, he has like flashy green smoke bombs that burst out of his face when he talks. And you can't even see what's going on. I don't need that.
No, you don't need like lightning bolts coming across the screen too.
Joker will have lightning ability.
In slow motion, nonetheless. You have
Yes.
that strobe effect on their
He'll
faces.
laugh in slow motion. Oh.
With a song, and there's dust flying and stuff.
The funny part about that Jared Leto sequence, though, is as they're walking up, Cyborg says, "We gotta hurry before he sees us." Right? He goes and talks to Joker for 10 minutes.
It's a long time.
Hold on.
They needed to be hidden.
On the
From
top
everything I can see
of a freeway, on top of a freeway where everybody can see you, that's where you decide to have a conversation for 10 minutes. You can do it under the freeway where you're a little bit more hidden.
Nope.
Yeah. Anyways, I think we beat this movie to death, guys. Superman.
Well, we didn't even get to the fun climax of the movie where they had the great sequence where all of them line up, just like Age of Ultron. You know, the worst part of Age of Ultron where they all line up? They decided to do that in Justice League where they all line up in slow motion for the shot. I was like, no.
Well, they did that in the original, didn't they? They still had something as
It's
goofy
just horribly, atrociously terrible, and I don't need it.
Yeah, but they need a movie poster. That's their movie poster.
They posed at the end, too, on the top of the reactor, and each one of them, the camera had to pan to all 6 of their faces to stare at. That must have been 5 minutes.
Like they knew there was a camera there. Like, who does
and then the ship comes to pick them up, and the ship was completely destroyed already. How did that ship come back to life?
New ship.
He only had one.
It replicated itself. It knew.
Did you guys hate the Cyborg UI as much as I did, where he like sees his old self and he walks through the world to interact with it?
Yeah, I didn't like how they portrayed that. I'd rather just see it through his eyeball, like coming out or something. Like I don't need to see.
Oh, I forgot their ship is also a Quinjet for some reason. I don't know how much they could have borrowed from Avengers if they tried. And then one other part, they go back. So after Superman comes back,
I guess we didn't
beat
this to death.
No, I got some beating to do because we went over the big
stuff.
It's
already dead.
It's already dead.
Nope. Some people like this movie. And then
we gotta get every last ounce of hope out of everybody. All right, please go. All right.
So Cyborg says, "Let's go get this son of a bitch" for no reason at all. Like Cyborg's lines, and so Gal Gadot can't act, but when they cut Cyborg's story, they said there was racial bias to doing it, and I can see there's probably potential for that. But also, he acted like Wood too. He was very similar to Gal Gadot in one note acting. So I don't know what to say. I feel bad both ways. But anyway, after he says that awkward line, Superman is back at his house, and for some reason, there's a shirt for Lois Lane to go and put on him. His mom has moved out of this house. She left boxes of clothes at the house that was foreclosed, and she had a U-Haul truck to literally move away. She left boxes of clothes. That's fine. But then this house has been foreclosed. No one's been living in it. And they literally shoot through the window. And this window is, it's just, there's not a single, like, water stain or, like, bird poop. It's shiny. You can see reflection. I almost saw the camera guy in the reflection of the window in a foreclosed house out in the middle of Kansas.
Uh-huh.
It's just little things like this. It's continuity stuff.
Yep.
He spent so much time editing a 4-hour movie, and you can't even get continuity between scenes and what we're doing.
Continuity is a big issue in a lot of things. Just saying. We talked about this while talking, too.
Yeah, it makes it tough when it comes down to these comic book movies, because there's so much, comic books out there on all these characters, and it's hard to pick and choose certain scenes from certain books to incorporate into the movies. I'm not sure, but you could tell that they like take stuff from little bits from different comics and different, like, just like WandaVision. They were taking little bits from House of M. They were taking bits from something else.
I'm just talking about movie continuity.
He's talking about movie
the comics don't exist.
Like,
literally from minute 1 to minute minute 1 to 4 hours, there was no structure at all whatsoever.
Okay.
Yeah.
Oh, all right.
It was like a house of cards.
And then also just the one part. Say you're Steppenwolf and you have your little Stormbreaker axe that you stole from Thor at some point, and you hit Superman, and it literally doesn't do anything to him, and he says not impressed. If I was him, I would leave. I'm done.
Yeah, like, you're right.
I'm out. Okay.
See you later. 69,000 other ones. Yeah.
Best of luck, Darkseid.
Pretty much.
But it's so true. Like, anybody who's in that situation, you walk away from it. As you should. That's a good call.
Not my boy Thundercrunch.
Thundercrunch.
Right.
Steppenwolf. He's gonna take a magic carpet ride right on out of here.
Yeah.
Wink.
So this Snyder Cut, it's kind of like one of those dead horses from the Amazonians. It's chopped in half.
Yeah, it's one of the 16 dead horses we're just beating the crud out of it at this point.
They fell into the ocean. They're just rotting corpses.
Oh, dude, when he took, 3 horses and then threw the 3 horses into 3 other horses. Oh. Thank God it looked CG, because I probably would have been upset.
Yeah.
Like, when you see that happen in, like, Game of Thrones, they don't make that look CG. That's, like, awful.
Yeah, this is a good family film, so
yeah, that's true. Yeah.
Bring your kids, watch some splatter heads across the wall.
Just have fun with this movie, no matter what. There's all kinds of problems with it. It's way too long. He needed an editor at some point. You don't need as much slow-mo as there is. You need some kind of character story development and plot thread through the whole thing.
You don't need 12 minutes of folk singing from God knows where, freaking Nordic. Whatever.
You don't need to show the Queen of the Amazonians have their ceremony to light the arrow to then shoot the arrow. We get it. They shot the arrow as a warning signal. We don't need 5 to 10 minutes of showing the process of that.
Well, and then we had to spend the time with Wonder Woman going through and looking at the arrow and then taking the arrow and going through some cave or some...
Oh, and then there was cave paintings because Darkseid, that set up the whole Darkseid. They did cave paintings of when Darkseid came the first time when Zeus was walking around on the Earth.
Someone was thinking.
But no, I feel like Snyder Cut, it deserves to be smacked around just like all the characters because it still doesn't take damage. You know, you smack Flash all in the ground. Aquaman is crushed literally through stone and it doesn't matter. They don't even limp. That's how this movie is. To some people, it doesn't matter how bad it is.
They'll love it anyway. That's fine.
Well,
and
no,
you have all rights
to say I loved it.
No, but people do. You have all right. You can love whatever you want. It's just a
Right.
very flawed film,
But
and Zack
admit
Snyder
that it's
has
bad.
problems of movie making.
I love a lot of bad movies, and I still love them, and I can admit that they're bad. But people will not admit that this is bad and say they like it. Like, oh yeah, it was goofy, but I enjoy it because I liked whatever, the way, Henry Cavill looks with a shirt off or something. Like,
Oh,
cool.
they took off.
But admit that it's bad.
They took out the mustache scene.
Yeah.
Oh, you don't know about the mustache scene?
No, I know. Everyone knows about that scene. It's all over the internet. Yeah. Anyways, that was my point.
Yeah, I think the overall thing is they tried so hard with this movie. Again, we talked about Leprechaun. It cost $900,000 or something.
Yeah,
Wait, did we talk about Leprechaun? Because literally nobody listened to that episode.
Well, I did.
I did too, so that's 2. All right.
But again, that movie's not trying hard. It's goofy, it's terrible, there's no plot continuity at all, but it's not trying hard. It's not trying to act like this is some melodramatic, greatest stakes of Earth, and everything that matters, every single raindrop that hits the camera at a certain angle in slow motion is this gravitas to human understanding. Just have fun. You have dude who can fly around and shoot lasers out of his eyes. Have some fun.
Right? There's no fun to be had in this movie, unfortunately.
Well, here's okay. And I know that we're trying to wrap up real quick, but I know that this might actually start a little bit of a bigger conversation. Do you feel like all of these, like the Snyder Cut and Snyder really wanted to make it gritty and dark and stuff like that? Do you think that all of this kind of stems from the Dark Knight trilogy? Because the Dark Knight trilogy was
that's
dark
why
and
he's
gritty.
trying to do it.
It's a bit. All of his films are like this. It's not like he switched his tone. Like all his films have always been like that.
But this is why Warner Brothers picked Zack Snyder.
Oh yeah, that would make sense.
Yeah,
sure.
That's kind of what I'm. They were like, okay, well, this worked for the Dark Knight. Let's literally take our entire catalog and try to do the same thing over and over and over and over and over again.
And the difference is, one, Christopher Nolan doesn't use hardly any CGI. It's a lot of practical effects, and it's a gritty realism. Right. Like Bane doesn't have some over the top, like goofy comic style interpretation. But with Zack Snyder, he's going to add sepia tones and all kinds of filters to make it look gritty. Rather than film it gritty and realistic, he tries to do that after he shoots it. And it stands out instantly.
Yep. Exactly.
Yeah. Well, cool. I'm glad that we got that out of the way.
And then also shout out to Aquaman joining Fat Thor in that weird city at the end in that epilogue. I was expecting Fat Thor Korg to show up.
Oh, hey, Korg, we got a new member of our crew here.
Right? Speaking of actors who can't act, oof, God, Jason Momoa.
Oh my God, dude, I can't.
What a bad actor that guy
Just
is.
let him talk fish the whole time.
Yeah.
Because that would have been way more entertaining.
Whiskey.
There. That's all he needed to say. Whiskey. And then say nothing else. I don't know.
Okay.
Whatever. Yeah. Hey, before we get going, I do want to give a shout out to a fan. Zeta out in Puerto Rico. She sent me this awesome gift box full of like stuff from Puerto Rico and even a bunch of stickers and stuff. It was very sweet. She wrote a very sweet letter, and I really wanted to give a shout out to Zeta. On Twitter, her handle is at THENEFTIS. I didn't know how to say that, so I figured I'll spell it. So go give her a follow, give her a shout out. I'm giving her a shout out right now. It was very sweet of her. But yeah, cool.
Awesome. So follow at Secondary Heroes as we go back to talking about Falcon and the Winter Soldier, which I'm at a loss of which one was worse between Falcon and Winter Soldier and Justice League Snyder Cut. I would say Snyder Cut just because it was 4 hours, so it took me longer to go through it.
Fair.
Just wait till the end of
when this season ends of Falcon and Winter Soldier. It's going to be 6 hours, and it's like,
we'll see. We shall see.
Stay tuned next week for more fun opinions like that. To everyone listening, we hope you enjoyed. We'll talk to you next time.
Frog out.